back at 49ers training camp with this, quite simply, one of the, if not the best linebacker in the game, 5-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, 4-time first-team All-Pro, Buckus Award winner at Ole Miss. Speaking of number 52 himself, Patrick Willis. Patrick, thank you for joining me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Now tell me, before we get to football, tell me you watched the 1000th episode of Monday Night Raw.
No.
No?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you're a wrestling guy. I thought for sure you'd watch Monday Night Raw.
I watched it a lot when I was growing up. I was really big into wrestling when I was growing up, and then now, I still watch it every now and then. I might get stuck on it, but it's not something I really just...
Not every Monday night. You're not DVRing it.
No, not at all.
Who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
Oh, man, my favorite wrestler growing up was probably Ricky Dragon the Steamboat.
Oh, Ricky Steamboat.
Hulk Hogan. Sting.
Ricky Steamboat. Roddy used to take him to the woodshed occasionally.
Yeah, I know he did. Roddy
Piper.
Yeah, the Irishman. Yeah.
Piper's Pit.
Yeah. It was a bunch of good ones. I mean, the wrestlers back in the day were just, I don't know, it was unbelievable. Like, you had The Undertaker, which he's still wrestling now, but you had Diamond Dallas Page and Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, like just all them guys. I wasn't a big Ric Flair player. I was mostly a Hulk Hogan.
Remember Big John Studd?
Yeah, I remember Big John Studd.
Big John Studd, Kamala the Ugandan Giant, Junkyard Dog.
Yeah.
Oh, those were the days.
Mankind?
Oh, Mankind, yeah, Mick Foley.
Mick Foley. I thought he was like the most, had the worst body, worst built body in America, but he always would win somehow. So.
Well, you remember, because he was willing to fall off cages and do all the stuff other guys weren't willing to do.
Messed up.
I remember talking to you about that the last time we spoke, because I know you grew up in the South, and my dad's side of the family is from the South, and this wrestling was... It was big.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, if I walked in front of the TV and my grandpa was watching wrestling, it would be switch. It would be switch time. It'd be like, I told you once, boy.
Yeah.
Don't walk in front of that TV when wrestling's on.
Yeah, my dad used to go crazy over there too, man. I mean, he would if we wasn't watching wrestling, we was watching John Wayne, country wrestling and whatnot. But wrestling was a thing. I remember my dad used to always tell he would say don't do this stuff at home. Never forget, Stone Cold Steve Austin. He had that
the stunner.
The stunner.
Yeah.
One time I done it on my brother, and I actually done it perfect.
You stunned your brother.
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
I actually done it perfect. And God rest his soul. I know if he was alive now, he'd be mad for me telling the story. But I really done it, and I was scared because it worked perfect. It just the perfect kick to the midsection, and then it was just everything was
pulled
right
the head
there.
back,
and I didn't realize it could have shattered his teeth and everything. I could have got killed for doing that, but luckily he was okay. So.
Did you say I just stunned you? Because Patrick Willis said so.
Really, I was really excited at one point in time until I realized he was crying.
Yeah.
And then, if my dad would have heard that, no telling what would have happened.
You would have got more than a stunner.
Yeah. It would have been worth doing the stunner.
Oh my goodness gracious! Talking to Patrick Willis here on KNBR. Talk about your off season a little bit. What you do during the off season, kind of unwind before you get geared up for camp.
Yeah, man, my off season was pretty good. I got I live out. I just got a house last June, and so I really got this is my first off season actually. Been in my new home, and that was a lot of fun. My brother came out. I got to do a lot of fishing. Added a new addition to the family. I got a little blue nose pit. So
oh, nice.
Yeah, he's 7 months old. He's a great dog, man. A lot of people give pit bulls a bad name, but I think it's all in how you raise them too.
It's more the owners.
Yeah.
If owners are bad people, then they're going to end up raising a bad dog.
Yeah, it's really. And I used to not understand when people how they were so affectionate over their dog and whatnot. But when you want it to do right and you want it to be well, you go out of your way to make sure you're accommodating it at all times and taking care of it. And so I got to do that. Spend some time. Hanging out, like I said, with family and whatnot, and so it was pretty good off-season training, fishing, and whatnot. So it was pretty.
What was
good.
the biggest fish you caught this off-season?
The biggest fish I caught was a little bit over 5 pounds. It was a largemouth bass. I actually caught him at a friend of mine's pond, Owen Nolan. He really,
the San Jose Shark.
Yeah. So he let me do some fishing on his property. Whenever I want to, big ups to him. I appreciate that because I love fishing. So, thank you.
What'd you catch it on? Was it I guess you don't use bait for largemouth. You use lures, right?
Yeah. You use lures. I actually this year was the first year I really got into using worms, using plastic worms. I didn't know the fish really love them things. I used to not have the patience to use the worm and whatnot, know how to set the hook. But I caught them off come off a worm, a black worm.
Black plastic worm,
yeah,
but they still have purple plastic worms?
Yeah, they still have
I used to use that. I never caught a fish on a purple plastic worm ever.
Yeah.
I thought I had some, and all of a sudden I pulled it up as that stupid plastic worm that's still on the hook. I was like, this bites. I'm done today.
Yeah, you got
like 2 hours. Yeah, I ain't no patience. Like fish for like 35 minutes, catch nothing, and say, where's the beer? Let's get back to the campsite. We're good to go. Joined by Patrick Willis. Talk a little bit about the defense this year. I mean, how good you guys were last year. Everybody's back. I mean, how good does that feel, knowing that you don't have to break anybody in, you don't have to learn what anybody else is good at, maybe what some of their weaknesses are. You guys know you got everybody back.
Yeah, really. I mean, you know, we're very fortunate to be able to be in that situation. You know, to have like all of us back. You know, because you know a lot of times, you know, the same side of the ball never stays the same. But you know, fortunately for us, you know, it did, and you know, we're happy to play with one another. We love being out there with one another, and we all are a bunch of unselfish guys. You know, we do what it takes to help their defense succeed. And you know, this year, you know, our defense was what it was last year, and we got to build up on that. And you know, each day of practice have been good so far. I mean, we still have, you know, some mental areas in there at times. I know I do. I had a couple of days, you know, and I know I'm gonna hate watching film because it eats me up, you know, when I have a bad play. But you know, but right now is that time where, you know, you work on the things that you're not so good at. You work on your weaknesses and your strengths. You know, you continue to polish them up, and you know, when you make a mistake, you know, you just try not to make the same mistake again. But really, this defense is amazing, and I think, you know, if we continue to play together and play as one, and you know, we have something special. And you know, Coach Vic is. Man, you know, my hat goes out to him as a defensive coordinator, and also just the assistant coaches that coach with him and teaches us what, you know, how you want the defense run. But I mean, that man, you know, he's been around football for so long.
What makes him so good?
I mean, just that, you know, he's been doing his thing. He's been doing football for a long time, and then on top of that, he's a real coach's player, you know. And I say that with the, you know, I say it with meaning that, you know, he knows that, you know, that things are not always going to be, you know, perfect and whatnot, but he's a great teacher. You know, he really is about teaching you, trying to help you understand it. And when you do make a mistake or whatnot, like he knows that, like most of us know his defense. And he knows that, like, you know, when we're thinking one thing and probably should have done something else, he feels this out. He knows that, like, okay, you know, I know what you were thinking. He don't just be like, why don't you, like, just start yelling and all that. So we know, and we also know too as players, you know, when we probably should have done something a little better. So we're able to correct, you know, ourselves, but at the same time too, you know, he just has a way of teaching it to us, helping us to understand it, but then also working with us and knowing that, like, you know what, as much as they may know it, as much as they think they may know it, like, they're still going to have some, you know, Emmys there, you know. I mean, we want as, you know, as less as possible, but, you know, it's not going to be perfect. But he works with us and continue to believe in us, and that's, you know, that's special. Yeah, I'm
talking about the defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio. Talking to Patrick Willis here on KMBR. Talk about your relationship with Navarro Bowman, who last year just, I don't know if anybody saw that coming, but he was a dominant force. Yeah. You guys were certainly the best inside linebacking tandem in the game. What's your relationship like with him?
Oh man, Bo is like my little brother, man. I mean, you hear that all the time, you know, like, you know, you hear one guy say like my little brother or like a brother, but I mean, I remember last year, you know, having him in training camp and having him as a roommate in training camp, and just, you know, seeing the work that we would put in, you know, after hours, and then seeing, you know, we get on the field, how we put in the work together. And then this year, you know, after all the, you know, the accolades that were, you know, that we received last year, you know, as a unit, as individuals, you know, he's still just as humble, still the same guy, still work just as hard. I mean, we still, like, constantly, like, you know, talking to one another, constantly, you know, helping one another. You know, if it's something that I'm not understanding or something that, you know, that I may need help on or whatnot, you know, he knows that, like, when he speaks to me, I'm not taking, like, why are you talking to me? Because I know, like, it's more like, whether it was him reassuring himself or whether it's him just talking, like, you know, because he think it might help me. Like, he knows that, like, we have that kind of relationship where we like brothers, and we also, like, we hold each other accountable. We hold each other, like, to, like, you know, when we have a play to be made, when we own something, like, we take pride in, like, getting it done, knowing that, like, you know, we're gonna do what we need to do, but also too knowing that, like, you know, if I don't, he got my back. So I mean, it's great playing lacrosse with a guy like that.
What does it feel like, Patrick, going into